You won't believe some of the things that airline passengers do. Hogging overhead storage bins, pounding mixed drinks before even taking off, and of course, every flyer's favorite, standing up in the aisle at the final stop on the tarmac. Why do 20% of flyers make up 80% of the issues we passengers have to put up with every time we fly? And what could be done to curtail these issues? Before we start sounding like that baby who won't stop crying, let's actually look into it and see what we can do, because here at the Vacation Agent, we like to solve problems, not just whine about them. We're not just trying to get you to share this video because it's good for our channel, although it definitely is, and we definitely appreciate it. We need you to share it because the more people see this video, the better the chances we spread awareness. It's kind of like the ex-smoker who gets a whiff of someone who still smokes and says, "Wow, I used to smell like that." If an airline passenger watches this video and notices they might be one of those we're talking about here, maybe we can help them gain some perspective and see the other side. So do us all a favor and like, subscribe, and share this video now. Without further ado, let's talk about those people who crowd the gate during the boarding process. As frequent flyers here at the Vacation Agent, we constantly ask, what is up with that? As long as you are here at the gate or in its vicinity, you will get on the plane. But you'll get on sooner, and the plane will take off earlier if everyone boards at their designated time. So how do you find that out? There are two very simple ways. One is to look at your boarding pass for your group number. Sometimes it'll be a number, sometimes it'll be a letter. Usually first class status members, special passengers, etc. are always one of the first to board, with a number on their boarding pass such as 1 or 2 or letters like A or B. And sometimes there will be a special line dedicated to these types of passengers. These people paid for premium seats, or they earned them by being loyal to that particular airline, or they're loyal to our country by serving in the armed forces, or they are handicapped or elderly, or they have children who need extra time to get situated on the plane without the stress of others trying to get to their seats, which means there is a hierarchy in place, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, book your next flight sooner, or shell out more dough for those premium seats. The other way to find out your boarding group number is to go to the gate desk and ask one of the attendants. This might actually be more beneficial because if you ask politely, it can make things easier for you for the rest of the flight. And this is because flight attendants note everything. If you make a good first impression, they will usually try to reciprocate, especially if you really need something later on. That mentality can be applied to everyone on the flight. If you are considerate, polite, and patient, most people notice things like this. Most people just want to be left alone and not disrupted. But if something were to happen where you depend on another passenger or a flight attendant, it's better to be on their good side. For example, if you know you have a middle seat or window seat and you have a tendency to go to the restroom every hour or two, it might do you well not to crowd the gate. You might just be getting in the way of your seating partner in the aisle. The best thing to do is just find a place to call your own, preferably away from the gate lines, and just hang out there looking cool, calm, and collected until it's your turn to board. If you've packed right and have one carry-on with you, chances are you will be able to stow it with no problem. If not, you can always check it for free. Most likely, your bag will be one of the first ones onto the baggage claim because it was one of the last ones loaded. Chill, it's all good. We are constantly flabbergasted by passengers who have a seat towards the back of the plane but store their bags in the front of the plane. What is up with that? If you're lucky enough to board the plane before any of the rows ahead of you, it doesn't mean those seats are empty, nor does it mean those overhead bins are empty. Just like you are making your way to your seats in the back, your bag needs to make its way down there too. You made it this far rolling your carry-on, you can make it a few yards farther. We know you have it in you. Keep the bins at the front of the plane for the passengers who sit there. The bins over your seat are for you. We're being redundant, yes. But sometimes these things need to be driven into consciousness. The bins over other seats are for those sitting there. It's pretty easy, really. You got it? Good. We mentioned hierarchy, status, priority, your place in line. All those things earned, especially in first class. But that doesn't give you the right to abuse your status. If you've ever had the pleasure and fortune of sitting in a first class seat, one of the first things you notice is the alcohol is free. And on occasion, you might have noticed even if you weren't sitting in first class. Because every once in a while, you are bound to encounter a first class passenger that doesn't know when to stop. Just like bar hopping, finding that overzealous drinker is inevitable. Well, we're here to suggest you keep that sauce in check. Not only is it bad luck, it can get you kicked off the flight and possibly even blacklisted from flying on that airline ever again. And all kidding aside, if you need help, There are wonderful organizations out there that provide excellent care. Notice we haven't mentioned kids yet? Well, we can't ignore the topic anymore because this might just be one of the most complex one of them all. In fact, we will be posting a video specifically on this topic alone at a later date. So make sure to click that notification bell and get notified when it drops. Either you have kids or you don't, right? The age-old saying goes something like, you will never know what it's like to be a parent until you become one. Our vacation agent writers were travelers before being parents, and we are now travelers with young children. We know exactly how polarizing this topic is and how triggered people can get on both sides. And what we think is missing is a lot of empathy. Before having kids, happiness on a plane was when there was no screaming babies. It's ironic that one can put up with a lot of bad behaving adults, but when it comes to children, the tolerance level is about as high as the runway. Without getting too philosophical, we will say that no traveler is in a worse position than a parent with a crying child on a plane. And before all you childless travelers think, whether out loud or to yourselves, why don't you tell that child to shut up? Realize that they have most likely tried, whether on this flight or a previous one, all the tricks they know. Trust us, there are plenty. Sometimes none of them work. Sometimes kids are just going to do what they want, no matter the situation. Well then why don't they stay home or wait for their kids to get older before traveling? We hear you, but sometimes it's not possible. Weddings, funerals, family holidays, heck, traveling with children while they're young will teach them to be awesome travelers when they get older. We all have to pay it forward. And if a child who might be uncomfortable for a myriad of reasons is crying on a flight, it's a small inconvenience for a big payout in the future. Are there unattentive parents? Sure. Are there bratty, spoiled kids? Sure. But again, we're talking about a small percentage. Most crying kids are not the worst humans in the world. They are out of their routines, they are unable to equalize their ears. Have you tried not equalizing? It is extremely uncomfortable. So before knee-jerking the most negative thoughts, try to imagine being that parent or that child. You may gain some empathy and compassion instead of anger and aggression. Finally, let's talk about those crowded aisles at the end of the flight. We get it, whether a flight is an hour long or 18 hours long. Once it's over, we all want to get out to our final destination, be it our vacation spot, our home, or even just the terminal bathroom. We're antsy. Our legs want to get up and go. The problem is, unless you're at the front of the plane, there are people just as eager that are ahead of you. Most likely, they either paid for those seats or they were earlier at booking them than you were. There's that pesky hierarchy again. We know, and we abide by it, and we suggest you should too. It'll dial down the anxiety in everyone. Trust us. But for this flight, the polite thing to do is to wait your turn. Sure, absolutely. Some of you have a connection to make. Some of you had to store your overhead bags in an area far away from where you were sitting. In those cases, if you let the flight attendants know, they will do their best to accommodate you and your situation. For those of you who don't fall into the aforementioned categories and still continue to clog the aisle when it's clearly not your turn to disembark, know that you are being extremely inconsiderate and rude. You are also creating a snowball effect where other passengers feel the need to stake their territory too, making things all the worse. Instead, stay seated, take a deep breath, and stay calm. Everyone will get off the plane, and if you wait your turn, you'll most likely exit earlier than you would have standing up out of turn, clogging the aisle and making everyone else get up and clog it too. Don't be that person who causes unnecessary traffic. We all hate traffic. We know we skipped over the guy who takes off his shoes, and whether or not you should ask to recline your seat, and a few other hot topic airplane etiquette subjects. But what topics are you most interested in? Leave a comment and we will add it to the next Vacation Agent plane video. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and if you do only one thing today, share this video. Until next time, from your friends at The Vacation Agent, safe travels!